Emily, this is a Pros in the Wild.
Great.
Emily from Haleiwa here. Remember me? I'm the cardboard box girl. She's the one who presented the Barrel or Not about cutting down cardboard boxes in the very first place.
Great, Emily, a legend.
Back.
Legend.
She said, I'm stoked that my topic still gets monthly conversation airtime on the reg. It makes me laugh every time that it's such a relatable topic. I'm back with the Pros in the Wild. Every April, I host a women's surf and yoga retreat on the North Shore of Oahu. It was day 2 of our retreat, and we were headed out to longboard in some cruisy knee to waist high waves. It was one of those dreamy spring days on the North Shore. Turquoise blue water, turtles and dolphins swimming about, and the talented locals putting on a show in the lineup. Emi Erickson was out on her log, catching wave after wave, walking to the nose, dancing on her board like a water goddess that she is. Our crew of retreat guests were stoked and in awe of it all. Everyone was catching waves and high-fiving with smiles on their faces. Well, all but one. About an hour into the session, there was one guest, Kristen, who was bummed and getting a bit hard on herself. She kept paddling for waves, not catching them. From the corner of my eye, I saw Emi paddle up to Kristen, start chatting with her, and push her into her first wave of the session. Kristen screamed so loud of happiness, you could feel the excitement pulsating through the lineup. She paddled back out, and Emi stayed with her for the next 45 minutes, coaching her and helping her catch waves for the rest of her session. After we all paddled in, Kristen retold the story to everybody at the retreat. The best part was she had no idea who Emi Erickson was. Later that night, I put on some footage of Emi surfing absolute bombs at Waimea, and everyone's jaw dropped to the floor. The fact that she was such a ledge, surfer went out of her way to help another woman who she didn't know in the water is iconic, straight up. Our retreat, Buena Vista Retreat, is centered around women helping women, and Emi did just that. Mahalo to Emi and to all the women who support each other in the lineup.
Love it. That is the ultimate feel-good Pros in the Wild.
Isn't it?
It puts a tear in my eye. Emily.
Emi Erickson is absolutely an unsung icon in the sport. I've had a peripheral awareness of her. Like her father, Roger Erickson's this North Shore icon, transplant, but been there for a very long time. Charger and Emi followed those footsteps largely. And so I've just had a peripheral awareness of her, and I followed her on Instagram, but I don't, she's not like creating content and like creating a profile or
in
anything
your
like
face.
That. Right. And then a month ago, Jeff Johnson and Keith Malloy made a piece that I think Yeti funded and then published. And I think it's called Beyond Sunset. And it's a profile piece on Emi and her father. Part of it's about her relationship with her father. But it really did such a delicate and beautiful job of telling her story and seeing her commitment to sunset and riding single fins and all that sort of stuff. And it just made me fall in love with her.
Can't wait to watch this.
Yeah.
How old is she these days?
I hate to make a public guess. I'm going to say 32.
32. So younger.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought too, but I couldn't recall.
Absolutely young adult, like still kind of in her prime of surfing. And the style of surfing that she's doing, she's riding Lyle Carson's single fin guns. And those boards are built specifically for North Shore waves without chasing any modern design trends that people have gotten into, you know, quads or whatever. It's just like
single fin gun.
You wait for big days at sunset, you sit out on the peak, you get in as early as you can, and you aim for the inside bowl, essentially, and try to connect it. And on that board, you can connect it, as opposed to what we're seeing WSL surfers try to surf sunset nowadays. And so you watch the way that she rides that board, and that's exactly what she does. And it's graceful, like there's a Phil Edwards DNA in it where she's not trying to pump the board ever once. She's finding the line on the wave. The board probably finds the line on the wave, and she gracefully hangs in there for the ride. It's beautiful.
One of my favorite parts about this Pros in the Wild is the introduction or reintroduction of pros who who fly purposefully or not under the radar. Like I wouldn't have thought about Emi Erickson today at all, but now I will and do.
Well, we're here at Album Surfboards, and I don't know if you noticed Brendan Margison milling around.
Yeah.
Margot.
I saw him.
Yeah, he fits that bill.
Exactly. I feel there's, and maybe we live in this day and age, probably. I feel there is a real resurgence of kind of not the underground surfer, but just I don't even know how to describe it. The surfer who's like doing it right, for lack of a better word.
The appreciation of surfing itself and the not trying to chase the modern media's demand for you to
always be out.
Yeah. And I'm interviewing Margot today. That's why he's here. And I mean, he's here because he works with Album, but part of my questioning is about that. Like, because back in his day, I feel like we never saw enough of him. He was always a surfer that I wanted more of, right? And whose surfing was totally unique and radical, and everybody admired, from Tom Curran to the young Christian Fletcher. Everybody admired Margot's style of surfing. And the reason why we didn't get to see enough of him, I have a feeling, is because he wasn't hounding photographers to be like, hey, let's go to the beach right now. Let's generate content. What magazines do I need to go and bring donuts to?
That's the hard part, I reckon, of that, but you did want to see him more, right? It's sort of like, I guess, cake and eating it. I mean, I guess like surfing or Olympic surfing at Chopu, right? I want to see that. I don't want all the stuff that goes with that, right? I want my underground charger to be underground, and yet I want to see a bunch of clips from him.
We will always be our own worst enemy in every facet of life. Nobody's out to get you. You're going to screw yourself, right? Yep. That's who's going to.
Unless you're Chris Moore.
Right.
Chris Moore's
She
husband.
will never screw herself. But my point with that is that, left to my own devices, I will require of Margot to overindulge me in Margot clips until I don't need to see them anymore. But what's better than that is mystique.
It's just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little taste.
Just the tip, Margot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just give us a little tease and we will be left wanting more.
Leave us wanting more.
And unfortunately, he probably could have had a bigger career and a longer career if he had gone the path of...
Maybe not, unfortunately. Maybe you're going to hear some secrets of a happy life, David Lee Scales.
Yeah, you could be right with that. I don't want to regret saying this because maybe I'll make it sound bad, but Jai Glendeman, whose surfing I love, he posted an edit a couple of weeks ago called Glitch. And I got 10 minutes into it and I go,
that's enough.
Well, yeah, I think like getting him in single wave Instagram clips for the last few years was a better version. And he's a phenomenal surfer. And I love his knock knee style, bottom turn, massive, front side carves. But I'm like, that's kind of what he's best at. And you don't need to see a ton of them. You don't need to see 20 minutes of them, And so I had that kind of epiphany in that moment that there are best ways to distribute content for specific people. Like there's not one universal way that's best to do things. There is a best fit for different people.
I think that's true across the board, no matter what. There's some musicians that you want to see, for imagine if you had to go see Blink 182 for a Grateful Dead length show, right? If it was going to be...
Or multiple shows in a row, even,
where, like or dislike Blink. It's a style of music that works well in punchy 45 minutes max. You're done, right?
True.
And I dislike the Grateful Dead, but I would imagine that style of music works well over 18 hours.
And lots of drugs.
Yeah.
Definitely amplified and accentuated by drugs.